By the way, this is Tia. She is being trained for when Patty goes on leave. Yep. Everybody say hi to Tia. Yes. Tia's learning here.
We're in the corner. It said recording in progress.
We're ready, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. Okay, we can go ahead and start the roundtable. And my understanding is, you have a presentation for us, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we thought we'd just kind of open with our remarks and hopefully solicit a lot of questions and comments. You know, that we can wrap up at the end. Would be great.
I'll start it off, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
Pardon?
You know who we are.
I'm Doug Fowry, and I live at 310 Oak Street, River. And I have spent the last couple of months since we last saw each other trying to come through almost every aspect of this issue presented in the papers that I know you've all received. Is there anyone here that hasn't had a chance to review those things? It'll give me a gauge of how much minutiae to go into if there's someone who didn't get a chance to digest it.
We all, yeah, opportunity.
Okay, great. Well, then I will start by going to the outline that is basically the executive summary in the packet and giving you some background behind what the order of presentation is. Now, we also have slides that we're going to fit on here somewhere without blocking out. Oh, no, we do block out. Anyway, the whole background of this starts back before any of you were on the commission. And although certainly certain staff members may have been on, the origin was back in 2014, and there was a big movement afoot to kind of formalize the relationship between boathouse owners and the port in order to encourage long-term improvements that are being made. They were recognized as being an essential part. I mean, we've read this into the record for you before. It's part of the Marina study of 2015 where it's articulated. That's also in the materials. But essentially, it was a very good time between as a partnership was being formed, so to speak, between the port and the boathouse owners, who were recognized as being constant tenants, reliable income stream, and there were no complaints. Now, what happened between 2014 and 2022 are several things. There was a fire in the Dallas Boathouse area, which was alarming to everyone. Now, it turns out that there haven't been any fires at all in other marinas in Oregon since that time, or for that matter, before. It's not a common occurrence, but it's certainly a concern. And so that was raised at the time as being a motivator for reanalyzing the position of boathouse owners and the presence of boathouses in the marina, along with several other things. One being some of the concerns that went along with financing the bridge, and that was some of the DEQ issues that were raised. But I think as time has gone by, we have seen that a lot of those concerns were not real. And for the further, the idea that there were toilets that were being flushed into the marina by boathouse owners turns out to be false. The fact that they had done studies and detected high concentrations of pollution under the boathouse, that turns out to be false. The idea that we were somehow violating the rules of the marina were also not founded, in fact. And so what happened is there was almost a 360 from the 2014 agreement, which prompted us to invest over $250,000 of boathouse owners' money to pay for the dock improvement, in reliance upon the idea that this was going to be a rolling lease that would renew itself perpetually. And that gave us the impetus to say, yeah, we're in. We paid for our share of the new electrical upgrades, we paid for the new dock over a 10-year period, based on bond assessments that were given to us annually. And, it went very nicely until 2022 in August, when all of these concerns were raised, along with the idea that during that time, part of the motivation of the new lease was to give some ability for boathouse owners to improve them and maintain them. And it also gave rise to a ability to transfer the leases to new owners. And as a side product, unbeknownst to us, which has a lot to do with just the economics of the time, it also gave rise to appreciation of boathouses that has been objected to by some of the commissioners, and we are going to address that as well. So we're looking forward to a steady flow of question answers so that we can get you details. But in general, we have taken the next step, which is to do a financial analysis of how important the boathouses are to the port. We have presented studies by former contractors who worked in the port for the port mission. And we're going to show that it's really not feasible to convert the boathouse dock without it being a waste of money, and that the preferred idea, assuming that there is money to pay for it, is to create a new dock in the location that it was originally designed in by the report that was done back in 2014 by IMF and Flowing Solutions.
Even 2007.
Yeah, it goes way back to, and so we find ourselves in an interesting position of being able to revive some of the old ideas in order to save the boathouses so that you maintain your income stream and maintain your $22,000 in rent payments without any increases that we are also amenable to, and that we can make ourselves welcome in the marina by being a valuable tenant. Now, the financial reality is pretty much laid out in Kevin Greenwood's memo to you guys for your next session, the regular meeting. That apparently was the subject of your discussions back in November. And it's just a fact that the marina is operating, the marina section of the port is operating at a deficit. And that we would imagine that that's not a good thing, and that getting rid of the boathouses would be insult to injury. As long as we can meet you more than halfway by complying with all of the wish lists that we have come up with in my proposed addendum to the lease that is part of your package, that would allow, it's not in depth. So I'm just throwing it out there as being their ideas. We can share profits. We can, of our boathouse sales, and make sure that we are maintaining our boathouses in compliance with all of the issues that you have been raised in the past and the new rules and regs. We're all for them. We are some of the most compliant people in this room at this point. We are really anxious to point out that it may be folly to pursue the boathouses and get rid of them, but in exchange, we have to ask for a reinstatement of the rolling leases, because that's the only way that you have the kind of stability that allows you to transfer the boathouses and thus give some share of those profits to the port. Without that, no one's going to buy a boathouse. And not that, I mean, I've owned mine for over 25 years and have no plans to sell. There's actually been not that many that have sold, especially since 2022. None, the only one has sold, and that is the former Kathy Carter boathouse. And that was, I hope that you've read the letters that have been submitted.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Since it's a roundtable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I have a question about the 2015 study you submitted. The only thing I have is from our 2021 to 2026 strategic business plan. It has the 2007 Marina Basin Planning Study. And under houseboats, the rest of the text looks exactly the same, except for the houseboat paragraph. Which says these structures provide a very limited revenue base and they present a relatively high risk to the port for fire and general pollution problems. In general, boathouses tend to be a depreciating eyesore over the long haul. The largest single boat in these structures is 31 feet. And all of the current boathouse tenants and all of those on the wait list could be efficiently accommodated in a 30-foot slip, 30-foot covered moorage pier. Some additional boat links data from owners on the waiting list should confirm this. Trading boathouses for covered slips would also be seen as a positive by the fisheries agencies. The water area covered by a covered roof would be about the same as is covered today, but modern covered moorage will integrate transport roof structures and other light transmitting techniques welcomed by fisheries agencies. And I can't find any record of a 2015 study that mirrors the 2007, but completely changes verbiage on the boathouses.
Heather, if I can address that, because I was on the Ports Ad Hoc Committee on that is the only copy that I could find. I've asked Port for their copy previously, and it seems to have disappeared. But that was given to me at the Port Ad Hoc Committee, and I've talked to two other Port Ad Hoc Committee members at the time who also remember getting that. So from the port, I have no idea why it's not in the report there.
Study.
Huh?
Who presented the?
I believe that it was a strategic plan that came out of all of these meetings that we had and all the reports from like Flowing Solutions. The Hallgren Group did another one. And then we met with the Corps of Engineers and other people here in the marina and went through all these various alternate plans. And that is what the ad hoc committee came up with. We do have a copy of the worksheet.
So this isn't an actual study, it's just the opinion of
That
the
is
committee.
exactly what was given to us at the Port Ad Hoc Committee
And if you,
by the
right.
port. So
It's entitled study.
yeah,
And if you go back and research
who wrote
through
it?
Google, it shows it in the minutes during that time and several that it was presented to the board,
Yeah.
this study.
and I assume that it was written by port staff at the time. So, we certainly had input being on that committee, but the whole worksheet that we can provide to you by I think Melissa Halstead at the time was the marina coordinator, and as they were working with legal counsel on a rolling lease, all of those issues were addressed with those goals in mind. And the real goal is to create value, but not make boathouse people rich. You know, it was to create a better, more sightly community area down there that we are now, as part of this proposal, asking the port to help us bring that back. You know, it's been kind of left alone for the last 4 years because, you know, you wouldn't put money in something that you're going to have to destroy down the road. So until we get this worked out, we don't have a chance to improve that.
So the 2015 study, well, it wasn't really a study on the houseboats that I read. Basically, the only verbiage in the Halgrens that even included houseboats was talking about a survey. And they didn't give any recommendations, but the survey showed pretty overwhelmingly that the people surveyed thought the houseboats should be phased out.
In 2013,
2015, the Halgrens survey. It said that one person thought that more houseboats should be added, and other people thought that they should. I don't think it said phased out, it said shouldn't be replaced or something like that, renewed. Or something like that.
That was in what year?
2015, the Halgrens. They're all, the only thing that listed anything about houseboats was a survey.
Well,
Boathouse.
there was also a flowing solutions study that was done about that same time, and that might even be part of what you're quoting from. But there was also some.
The 2022.
you're talking to 2022 survey.
It was
There wasn't, I have never seen a survey in 2015.
Halgrens did a study. The boat houses were just kind of
Yeah.
reviewed in a survey.
So
It raises the question of why the court went through all of the trouble to create the rolling leases, if that's indeed what the intention was.
the decision that was made to give us the rolling leases, you know, was based on these recommendations, credible recommendations from Port's own consultants, and longtime legal staff. The point we're, you know, before we get into, I know your time is really limited, but rather than get into which report said what when, I think the important thing is what we want to do going forward. And we can bring to the table here something that is going to help the board avoid a costly decision by getting rid of us. Assure continued increasing revenue from the boathouse docks on a dock that we paid for. So you've got, you know, as far, I mean, I don't know what your returns are on other port investments, but, you know, the port paid almost zero for that dock, and it's 100% return, whatever we can generate off of it. So let's work together to generate the most off of that. Also, it's really important, and I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet to take home when we're done here, but the cost to convert that dock is way more than what it costs to add way more boat slips on the A and B dock. And we have, so why would you throw out 100% ROI with somebody who wants to partner with the port to increase your revenue and also create more opportunities for people on the wait list elsewhere to generate a whole bunch more money for the port with a better return on investment? Then, yeah, I don't mean to get in your way here, Doug.
This is fine. I think that the bottom line is that this has been addressed in the materials and the studies that we paid for. And it doesn't answer the question about the evolution of going back to these different studies. I don't pretend to know any of that, but it does, I think, raise the issue of, if that were true, why would we be entering into and spending the money that's associated with entering into a new rolling lease that was intended to solve problems that were present in the marina about people not having the guarantees that they needed to pay for improvements and whatnot, and maybe pay for even a new dock. And so,
My understanding is, and I mean, I hope you know that I hear what you're saying and I am very empathetic. But I see both sides and I see
which is
that,
the other side.
well, the reason, in order for the boathouses to survive at all, there had to be improvements. And there was an agreement made that, well, if you want, you know, if you want to be able to stay, that the docks have to be improved. I also think there's more than just financial, that this commission and past commissions have looked at. It's not just about money. I mean, I just read that paragraph and, you know, it's also about how it looks and about possible risks to the port in the long term with fire and pollution problems. It's also, we have just read like all over the state that houseboats are just kind of being phased out in general.
Not true. We're not sure that there's any basis.
I'd like to see the data.
Okay.
You know, there are, I'm sure there are places there aren't boathouses where there used to be, but there are a lot of boathouses, and I know that the special districts that does the insurance insures several marinas that have and want to keep their boathouses. So that's something that, again, I think was misleading in the packet that was provided when the 2022 decision was made. You know, the thing is, it's kind of a historic little cultural corner of the Hood River experience. You know, the whole marina. We would like to make those things much nicer, much better. And if we can do that, it increases the value. We can pay more. We can share on an upside, and we can create an opportunity to make it something that's attractive, even to those who might be naysayers. And at the same time, we can take care of more people on the wait list. But when the 2022 decision went down, you might recall that you know, we were offered to be able to put our boats in the new slips that would replace our boathouses. So according to the reports that you have in our packet, we've got a potential of 18 new boats, like 18 to 20 new boats, depending on what you do with sheriff's boathouse. And if 10 boathouses take those, picking up 8 to 10 new boat slips at a great deal of risk and a lot more cost than putting in way more slips at the end of A and B dock, where all the consultants told you to put them. So, you know, we can address your concerns for fire safety. You know, we don't want them to burn. You know, we put fire extinguishers on the dock, running water on the dock. We'd like to work with you on improving the water situation, the plumbing. You know, we've always chipped in when we've been asked, and we can make that work down there. We can make them look nicer. We can make them safer. We can do whatever you need to do, but we kind of need to partner with you in that effort. And the downside, the people who maybe want us to go away, if you try to convert that dock, it's going to be a boondoggle with very, very low return. And I don't know that the port has wants to invest in something with that lower return. I don't think your alternative is much value.
Can I speak for a second? So I would like to go back to what I know you read in 2007. We have that study. We've read it before. But in 2013-14, when the port worked with the boathouse owners to get them to pay for that new dock, and as part of that, the new lease, things must have changed because they wouldn't have gone there if it wasn't that they wanted the boathouses in the marina at that point.
And
It
I,
makes no sense to me that they would just say, we don't really want you, but we're gonna spend this amount of money on a dock, and you're gonna pay for it, and we're gonna sign this rolling lease. I have more stuff I can share with you guys, because I did do research on that. And it speaks to that Marina Basin study. If you Google it, it speaks to it a lot in a lot of places, and how it was in the minutes. It was presented to the board. You cannot find a copy of it online. Like you can find everything else online for the port. It's not there. But it does speak to it frequently. So I do believe it actually existed.
Yeah, I think that's because it must have been a committee edit of the 2007 study.
No, I don't think so. That doesn't how it
Where's
comes
the rest
across.
of where's the rest of it then?
I said the documents aren't there, but it spoke to that they had gone through and done it. And in the meantime, I have a commission memo from Lisa Helseth that speaks to,
let's make sure and get that to them.
well, if you won't mind, I'd like to read.
Sure.
It's not in our packet.
Okay.
Over the course of the past 6 months, the Marina Ad Hoc Committee has discussed issues associated with the boathouses in the marina, including new lease terms and conditions. The attached draft term sheet reflects a consensus of the committee about key lease terms. They are intended to reflect market conditions, place limits on boathouse additions, and encourage upgrades to the appearance and condition of individual boathouses. This draft has undergone a general review by legal counsel. Based on direction from the commission, staff will work closely with legal counsel for a final lease agreement to be approved by the commission in November and effective January 1, 2014. And then it goes through piece by piece, those terms that you see on our lease. And those were then built into the lease. And so all of this was being worked on at that point to retain the boathouses in the marina.
And part of the reason that it happened around the 2013-2014 timeline was that there was one commissioner who was driving the get rid of boathouses back in 2007, who was voted out or moved on. And we had a unanimous vote by all the commissioners in 2014 or 13 or 14, whenever it was, to adopt that term and create this partnership with the port to make the boathouse dock better, invest in it in return for that longevity of that lease. So that was a decision that was made by a very well-informed commission at the time. And, obviously things changed. And
Maybe I can ask a question, because this is something we've been pondering, and there could be an answer to it, but we just don't know what that be. How does the port propose to pay for the conversion potentially of the boathouse dock if they continue on the path they're on? Or how do they propose to pay for new fingerling docks on A and B if they're in a yes?
I don't think that's a conversation for, this meeting at all. I mean, what our plans are for the future, are not at all this round.
No, it has to do, my reason for asking is why throw out an income source?
It's 100% ROI.
One could argue that, I don't know if it's 100% ROI. Numbers can definitely help give you the answers that you want to give it. What I can say is that I know that there's a long historical aspect of the boathouses. I know that there have been past discussions, agreements, and reasons, but the only thing that we can all count on is change, and whether or not an agreement was made in 2015 or 17, we have to look at where we're at now with the bridge, with the marina, with the state of the port, with the state of our relationship with the community. And I think we need to look at where we're at today and move forward and make our decisions based on it.
Absolutely, we agree 100%.
Yeah, we agree. Totally.
That's why it
And we
needs to
think,
be reviewed.
we think the bridge is no longer an issue for the boathouse. And if it is, there's provisions in the lease that take care of that in terms of construction.
But the board voted already to terminate the leases.
Yes,
They did.
yes. Yeah, and that's why,
I think
that's why
based
we're
on
here.
a false narrative.
There was a lot of misinformation that went into that decision. But the important thing is, like you said, the only thing we can count on is change. Things have changed. Things have changed substantially. We don't have, we have got more to offer the port than we had before. And, the fairness part of this thing for the people on the wait list, we can accommodate more of them for less money elsewhere. It'd be a great investment for the port to do that, and we're totally supportive. But why throw out the baby with the bathwater when you have, loyal tenants who have paid for their dock and all they want to do is pay you more money with zero investment from the port? That doesn't make sense to me. That's the part I think the community wouldn't understand. And that's why things have changed, and that's why there needs to be some reconsideration on this.
And from a fairness standpoint, getting the boathouse owner to pay for a dock that they use for 10 years, it's good for 50 years,
Or 100 years.
that's a problem.
I'd like to, we had a presentation. You don't want to hear it, or are you willing to have us go through our slides?
Oh, sure, yeah, we have until 5.
Where are we at?
Yeah, I think we're on.
Unless you have other things you want to ask.
Just keep going through.
I mean, I guess we're checking for you.
I sign them, stop.
Questions?
Gathering information. I'm seeing, I went back and I've done my research about the history, and I have seen pressures going back on both sides. It seems to me that 10 years ago, there was something of a compromise. There definitely were commissioners at that time that wanted to see the boathouses go. And the port received something, which was the fee that the boathouse owners have paid to upgrade the dock. And the way I look at it is there was a transaction there, a compromise, if you will. The port, and hence the community, received an upgrade to that dock would take place over 10 years. Boathouse owners received a promise to move to a 5-year lease, which would give them some, not a forever lease, a 5-year lease, which has been renewed a few times. So it seems to me that that was a compromise where both sides got something they wanted, and it continued. But the pressures, as you say, go back, I mean, to probably before that 2007, you're speaking about there being at least one commissioner who was like down on boathouses.
Yeah.
But typically when the port contracts independent, contractors to do a study, they don't say, here's our secret thing conclusion we want you to arrive at. They say, go make your analysis and give it to us. And Flowing Solutions at that time, was sort of advocating you might want to look at phasing these boathouses out for the following reasons. So I can see the pressures that have been there over time on both sides. And I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I'd like to hear more from you, Mark. So please continue.
Yeah. Well, I think since you raised it, I wanted to hit the point that think that the boathouse owners agreed that they invested $250,000 for the right to have the boathouse for 10 years.
No, I don't think there was any.
Yeah.
I don't think there was
Yeah.
any agreement on either
I
side.
just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah.
And there is the other point that they are not perpetual. We would take issue.
So was there
Yes.
is there a lease language that?
If there's one document that I would really encourage you, it's only the 5 pages of the lease.
Yeah,
And read it carefully. There is a termination clause in there that lists the causes that the board can terminate the lease. And one is for non-compliance and being in default and not curing the default, and it's listed.
Mhm.
So
And-
the board, yeah, and so the board has the right to cancel the lease, just like the tenants did.
Hmm.
But the port's rationale needs to be
Either non-compliance or non-payment.
I can read it from this too. Reasons for port denial of lease extension include breach of lease terms and poor state of repair and maintenance of the tenant's boathouse. That's the termination clause in the lease. So, we just maybe you might want to read the lease.
And the lease worked because there was a lot of investment right after that lease was done, including Jenny Kraft, who bought in good faith based on what she was told by port staff that she could rebuild that boathouse. She actually paid a lot of money for an old junker, paid a lot of money to get rid of it. I think you maybe saw the receipts of it for her destruction. It was done in good faith, but that was the trend that we and the then commissioners at least were hoping to see happen. That all of these places just get cleaner and better and nicer. I know we put a new roof on ours and others did, other things and
And there was the whole float controversy and all of that was kind of a debacle.
your lease language is not in your packet.
If, yeah,
Yes,
the lease
yeah,
is there.
there's a sample lease.
We were asked to supply it because you guys didn't have a copy.
Yeah. When I asked Kevin for it, they couldn't locate it in the system.
I have a copy.
We were looking for
No, it's part of your document. At the very end.
The last thing in the document.
That's it.
that's it, yeah.
But,
I want a copy.
I caution you not to get into the minutia of the lease at this point.
Yeah.
We're really not, we're not here to litigate that.
Mhm.
We're trying to get this whole thing moved onto a common sense level.
Right.
Which is why throw away an income source when you could have it, unless there's some ethical unfairness that has been addressed in our addendum, which means that the port can share in some of the transfer profits when a boathouse is sold. That seemed to be the real killer there. They didn't like the fact, the commissioners, some of you are here, didn't like the fact that the boathouses were watching their boathouses appreciate like mad.
Which didn't
Selling
happen
them,
until
having used
after.
the having used public property. Now, I can't answer whether or not there's any veracity to that, whether it's common. My research has led me to believe that other marinas do a similar thing that we're proposing to do, which is pay a transfer fee that includes 5% of the sales price or 10%. We haven't figured out what it would be. But this idea that we're being demonized as,
Profiting off the port's lease.
that's a function of Hood River.
Yeah, that seems to be incidental, something that happened. I don't think anybody bought a boathouse or built it thinking I'm making an investment.
No,
Right.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, some of the boathouse owners during this time where they're paying for unnecessary upgrades, et cetera, to underwater packets of flotation had to sell their boathouse at a fire sale. It's kind of a cavalcade of horrors going back to 2022 and how this whole thing was done and how it cost people money when it wasn't necessary, and how ultimately they just said, well, so what? So what if you paid for the dock? So what if you paid for all these repairs? You're out of here. And
I'm sorry, Doug, if I could add, it actually cost the port a bunch of money too, because the port ended up having to pay for new flotation under the sheriff's dock for no reason. And the port lost a tenant who, you know, because she was told she could rebuild in that space, she was happy to continue to pay, and then she was told she couldn't. So now you got a vacant space that's been sitting there for 3, 4, 5 years, that the port's lost money in. So there are some flaws with the 2022 decision. We want to help you correct it. We want to help the port prosper when it needs it. We want to get more people who want boat slips at a better price. And, you know, be a partner making the marina like we've always been. Make the marina a special place for everybody.
anyway, returning to the presentation, we have jumped ahead in certain cases, but this is just kind of a synopsis of what kind of money is involved based on the August 31 year-to-date counting that was provided online. You go ahead and advance that slide. So this is kind of everything stays the same, and you take into account all the annual boat slips. So if there's still going to be over time, there's going to be an annual deficit that you're confronting, and one that I imagine you'd want to avoid in the name of fiscal responsibility. Yeah.
All right, Debbie, can I just clarify? My understanding was that the marina itself is being positive. It's not in a deficit situation.
That is correct. What those numbers reflect is Marina Basin, which includes the park.
The commercial property and the marina. green.
Well, it does not include the commercial property, but it includes the park. So it's everything that's around the marina. Out includes the cruise ship jetty.
Yeah.
Everything you're trying to pay for with the
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, they get subsidized, of course, with industrial revenue from the industrial properties.
Okay, go ahead.
Which the books have kept.
So yes, it does include Marina Park.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the long and short of the studies is that you really can't convert a boat dock without taking enormous risk, dredging up the marina to put in new pilings, having disruption of the ecosystem, all of the things that go along with possible pollutants that
Well,
stirred up.
But that part, Doug, that's a permit issue with the Corps of Engineers that limits a time window that there's that. But big issue is the structural integrity of that dock was not designed to hang fingers up. And so
Yeah,
please read the IMFS letter and Flowing Solutions letter. They provide the expertise to explain that, but if you're going to spend that much money, don't spend it there. Spend it someplace where you can actually get more boat slips for less money and generate more revenue. Because you're only picking up 8 new slips by converting that. If you follow through on your offer to allow us to take 10 of them.
in your packet, this is addressed in the wait list. And so
If you look at for those 2 studies, we did a summary called boathouse dock conversion versus new dock construction. It kind of pulls it into a couple of paragraphs. Otherwise, the studies themselves, I think, are very, very precise that the boathouse dock cannot be converted. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
If you take it out, you can
Replace it.
replace it. But you're going to only get, if you read through those studies, you're gonna get 18 slips. And 10 of those slips are gonna go to boathouse owners. So you're gonna pick up 8 slips off the wait list. for $600 to $1 million. If you take that money and you go north, up A and B docks, you can pick up 24, 40,
38.
38 new waitlist slips and still have the boathouse dock.
And not spend any more money.
So, I mean, to me, it makes, I have it hard, it's hard for me to fathom why you would remove that dock unless you have other plans for it, because it can't be converted without spending a ton of money, and it probably wouldn't even convert that well. So if you don't if you haven't really studied anything and what we presented to you, the owners paid a lot of money to these two studies. Really appreciate if you would really study that, understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I read the whole packet, and I also read the 2022 study that I think was Halgren's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you
What? There's no Halbrins.
No, Halgren's was before.
I know there was one in
14.
2015. Who did the 2022 study?
Flowing Solutions did
Flowing
one for your,
They listed several options.
Yes.
yes,
For the boat stocks, they said that they could easily be reconfigured and used for
doesn't say that.
option B. Boathouse dock could easily be reconfigured and used for transient or fuel dock, or moved to the north side for other uses.
Yes.
You could,
Yeah.
well, easily reconfigured if you move it, but you're not gonna reconfigure it into boat slips.
No, moved for either
For the
to
purpose of
replace the fuel
relocating.
dock or
Yeah.
used for transient, or moved to the north side for other uses.
Yeah.
But you also-
Including covered-
And the IMF study says the same thing, that you can do it. But it's gonna cost you a boatload of money.
And why? What's the goal of getting rid of this? I mean, if it's to make room for more boat slips, it doesn't make sense. If it's to save money or have a better return on investment, it doesn't make sense. You know, if it's a safety factor or something like that, let's figure out how to address it.
I think we know how to address it, and it's been reviewed by you guys. There's been quotes given from broader environmental insurance, those kinds of things.
And I'd like to,
Nothing's the realm of possibility. We don't invite driving ourselves into financial distress ourselves, paying for all these new bells and whistles, but we're willing to have a reasonable conversation about all of it and help you comply with fiscal responsibility that is part of your position. Now, if there is an objection to the boathouse, and I've heard various things, sure, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody wants a sheet metal, garage to look at with vines growing out of the timbers that act as flotation devices, On the other hand, other people go, that's the charm. It's part of the community of boathouses that's been there for going on, 70 years, 60 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And
63.
Vince Sacrament isn't here, but in his letter, he notes, and he was gonna bring down the newspaper clipping where everybody was applauding his new boathouse that had been constructed at Nichols Marina. And our basin back there, and everybody got great accolades. This is a new way. And his, of course, is the most modern of any of the houses. And it's now over 30 years. When was it?
Yeah, probably.
It's in there, yeah.
But, anyway, we're trying to be here to be constructive and help the port through the struggles you're going through financially as best we can. And yes, we're looking out for ourselves, but there's a win-win-win here. For the port can win, we can win, and people on the waiting list can all win. So we just want to help you make that happen. And like as you said, things change. Things have changed. Now, obviously, the poor is in a whole different ballgame now than they were back then when they had a bridge to pay for everything. So, let's figure out how to make this work for everybody. It's just,
Let me share my perspective and
Please.
maybe this will help frame things for you to respond to. So myself, along with Commissioner Thomas, were not on the commission when this decision.
Right.
However, as an elected official, the default is not to relitigate past decision making.
I get that.
The port at that time, various things went into that decision. There's a whole history of it and all these different factors and lots of different parties. Discussions and debates that were had over and over and over. And the commission made a strategic decision about what they saw or wanted the future of the marina to be. And some of the big issues were this idea that regardless of whether the water is in compliance right now or whether insurance is procurable right now, there is going to be an increased relative risk for fire and for water quality coming from the presence of boathouses versus boats and slips. That's one issue. Increased relative risk. The other issue has to do with the fact that it's public marina with sort of private boathouses that get the special, comparatively special treatment, right? There's a perception there that is not allowing people to have those spots and have, locked in for 5 years and then, potentially sell their spot. People that are leasing other slips cannot sell their lease to somebody else.
but they didn't pay for their dock.
They did not. And I'd have to go back and see what the exact agreement there. I don't, I haven't read like in exchange for paying the assessment fees, what was promised. I haven't read those documents, if whatever they may be. So I need to take a look at
It's
that.
a companion document to the lease.
That I read a little bit of, but
Sure. So there is this, from my perspective as a newer commissioner, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, I see the arguments on both sides. I see a commission that was in the past that said, hey, we have a strategy and a vision for the future of the marina, which is just going to be all slips, and so now, we're offering you the opportunity to come forward, and I guess I'm looking for something, a real slam dunk, sort of like overwhelming, like something that really swings the pendulum to the other side. I understand that turning the current boathouse docks into something else, it has costs associated with it. I am not certain, especially without the port, commissioning study to be done, that is necessarily more expensive than building new docks, because in some research that I've done, it looks like if we were going to add slips on the north side, that we would have to add another gangway and access point for stability and maybe some other things, and that would.
I'm sorry, not on the north end of A and B dock. You could use the same, and again, that's in the Flowing Solutions letter that's part of the packet.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm hearing things from other places than just this one study that you guys had, right? So, without the port investing and going in and figuring out, and getting really hard numbers, hard to say. It just pointing out that like, oh, there's some relative, cost things here. That's not kind of the slam dunk for me that is going to be enough to move me as a more junior commissioner to say, I'm going to defy and stand against what this commission decided to do as a strategy for the marina. It's not enough. And again, that's not because I'm saying, well, you're wrong about your, no, I understand your arguments, but I also see the arguments on the other side.
Sure. Tor, you know, we just spent $4,400 with these two consultants to try to generate these letters to add credibility to what we've been told.
Yeah.
The only way to get you the hard numbers
Yeah,
is for the port to decide what it wants to do
right.
and pay for or go out
And so
and bid,
my understanding,
which should be done.
my understanding is what the port decided to do, already decided to do, was to sunset the boathouses.
Yeah.
So,
But did they do it with full realization of what the return, what the return they're giving up and what return
so
they can
again,
expect?
I understand that there's a financial element of it, but there is also the equity element of it, of moving towards a future where it's all slips and they're all offered on an even footing. So, and our marina is, you know, as we're going through and we're discussing potential lease for our commercial dock, we're seeing what a rare resource our marina is in the mid-Columbia region, and how very desirable it is.
So we're wide open to a boathouse wait list. You know, that can also buy in on this.
We're also open to a first right of refusal by the port. You know, if they want to take over the boathouse and sell it for their own profit, they can pay us
Or lease it.
hang on to it, make it into a youth center or whatever they want to do.
Ask a question. You mentioned that. Be specific. At this day, what is the objection, that specific objections to having the boathouses in? You said the equity piece. Adding, maybe just clearing that area out and putting in eight stuff. What I can do. So what other reasons are there? Other, because you feel they're a fire hazard? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's not that I feel anything.
Okay, I'm
It's
sorry,
that-
maybe feels not the right. What are the specifics?
It's that, you know, past consultants have said, you know, and it's true. You've got a situation where maybe right now in the wintertime, where things are pretty quiet, so you test the water and it's great. But, and I don't know how, I'm not really active in the marina community. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there are crazy parties and people, you know, I don't know,
Is,
right?
okay, has there been testing done? Has there been actual water testing ever done?
I believe water testing has been done, but I guess my point is that it's been pointed out that there's this relative increased risk for water quality
And what
decrease
specifically would be the water quality from what?
from gray water, from, you know,
We don't,
people.
but we don't have water in the boathouse, so where would we get gray water? The boats all have the ability to produce gray water.
And
Boats can all have, they have toilets,
Sure.
they have porta potties are legal on the boats in the state of Oregon. The boats in the marina all have portable toilets. So to say specifically that since we don't have water or anything like that, that we would be polluting. When you have this whole other section that equally could be polluting. I mean, it's just the pat on that isn't fair.
The other factor is that
I mean, I don't want to be outside.
the city's storm sewer dumps out right in the boathouse corner.
Right, and I know that it's created.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And I know that from time to time that comes through.
The big one.
There's one.
Yeah, and the potential for increased fire, when you've got people in a closed structure, especially if there's wiring in structures and things like that, that there's an increased risk there. That's not the big one. The big one is the equity issue. The big one is semi-private boathouses in a public marina. It's sort of, you know, people getting a lock on spots.
So let's open it up.
Yeah, I don't know what that, I don't know what that would look like, but I guess what I'm saying is that at this juncture, like going through this, it's not enough for me to say, to try to make, and you gotta understand, you gotta have 3 of these commissioners that are willing to change course.
Right.
Well, what would be enough?
I don't know, you guys wanna pull Paul Allen or something like that, you know. You know, I mean, there's, honestly, if you just asked me, if you guys came and said, hey, we'll build more slips, I'd be like, oh, okay. All of a sudden, the calculus is totally changed because that creates, you know, but that's a lot of money and it's not reasonable. It's not something I would ask. But
That wouldn't change.
But it still wouldn't change. This is the thing. It still doesn't change the
anything that-
other issues.
Well, everything has risks.
But I know it does. But I'm just, everything in politics I've learned is, you know, as a compromise, you never get exactly what you want. You got to try to figure out the best option.
Catherine.
You know.
Yeah, well, I know you're on a time.
Let Catherine jump in.
Yeah.
Catherine.
Yeah, we would.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you, Catherine.
Okay. Thank you. I just had a question. I am, again, news commissioner, and I do appreciate all the time and effort that has gone into this. And I had the opportunity to speak with you all, your group, earlier this year. My question, did the commission did not vote to terminate the lease. They voted just to not renew the lease. Is that correct?
That's the same thing.
Okay,
Well,
so we don't need to, there's no, because the causes for termination then don't apply in this situation because our commission the commission in previous years voted with the information they had, with the skills they had at the time they were given, just to not renew the leases. And so what we're trying to do is you're trying to come and just asking us to consider to go back on the decision of not renewing the lease. I just want to make sure that we're clear with what we're doing, because the leases weren't terminated, they just were not renewed. And that sort of is a different, at least for me, that just hits me just a little differently.
We were given a notice of termination.
Yeah.
Well, we were given a notice that the lease wouldn't be renewed.
And terminate.
I don't know if termination.
Yeah.
I would say it would be more that the port decided to not renew our lease as we got the,
They're
5 years.
terminating the rolling lease.
specifically, would it matter?
Yes.
Okay, let's find the notice. I have it. Find it, but.
Well,
I have
you
paper.
know, I think Catherine, did you have other
Yeah, any other?
questions?
Well, my only thing is, when we spoke, it is important if the data points were incorrect, and I think it behooves the houseboat owners if they want to continue to remain in a situation which former commissioners voted to not renew the lease because of the water quality concerns. That is a concern of mine, and so. And I understand. I see her shaking her head. I understand that, sir. But the information we had and the time they given that led to their decision. And if there hasn't been a test to this point, though, to prove either way, I mean, you're asking a commission of people to go against, people who had historical knowledge, and I think we have a broader question as to what the port wants now. Because we're talking about decisions from 5 years ago, and we're talking about studies that may or may not have occurred, over 10 years ago. And there was a survey done that we did put out, what the marina wants to look like now. When we have to work for our constituents now, as opposed to the constituents, back in 2022, and or a very small group of houseboat owners. And to speak to the dock, which was purchased over 10 years ago at $250,000, which equates to approximately, if you divide it by the houseboat ownership of 10, that's, $25,000 over 10 years, $2,500 a year. I would say that with the depreciation values, you may actually find that it has been paid for, and yes, it was 100 years, but with the rent and the comparison to other groups, I think we can see that everyone may be losing in this situation, but I think the community can win if we really want the community to win. So I appreciate the discussion. Sorry to take up time, but I just wanted to say that I think the stats and data is, for me, is leading to, I agree with the decision that happened in 2022 of not renewing leases, not terminating, just not renewing them. So that's where I'm sitting now.
And it does say non-renewal of the lease agreement, so it's not a.
Well, there are two, I mean, I'll put on my attorney hat here, just talk off the top of my head. Being a non-renewal effectively terminates the right to renew, okay? So you terminate, the only grounds for termination that's set forth in the lease are the violation of the port rules and non-payment of your slip payment. There is nothing in there that indicates that they have the right to discontinue the renewal.
Yeah, read it carefully, because it's pretty clear. Anyway, Catherine, the one point that you made is, you know, where do we want to go from here? And I think that's a question for the port in general. What do you want to, what's the vision? You know, they stopped the Marina Ad Hoc Committee. So, you know, they weren't getting, you know, I mean, I know you sent a survey out. You know, how many people who responded to that are really informed on the realities of what they're speaking about. But what do you really want from the marina? And what, I mean, and do you want it to be a significant contributor to your way out of the financial hole or not?
So, being the most tenured, commission sitting here, but not being the most tenured one when that decision was made. I agree with Tor and Catherine that unless there's resounding evidence that has been presented that would vastly make us change our plans, the intent of the prior commission, to my recollection, was a combination of many things, and with many things comes unintended consequences. But I believe that the intent of the commission was to ensure that we had the most flexibility in order to position ourselves in a manner to best react to situations that were coming for us. Lost revenue, issues with the bridge, issues with spaces and lands and all of that. And I think that, you know, knowing that it is fair and reasonable that we have to make these plans years in advance. So a plan that we made in 2022, 2023 is just now starting to come into, you know, the forefront of things. And I feel like a decision was made to phase out the boathouses and say we are going to be a marina of slips to position ourselves for that flexibility. So anytime we kick the can down the road, or whatever discussion was happened and whatever lease was happened, might have been a commission just not wanting to stand up and say, for sure, we want to go this route. But I know in conversations with the commission, it seems like everyone is really wants to position ourselves for flexibility.
Well,
and
there's other ways of handling
but the decision of the commission at the time was based upon outside consultants, based upon the commission, based upon the information that was provided at the time. The commission at the time made that decision, and I agree with Tor and Catherine that unless something monumental comes up that would make us want to revisit that, I just don't.
Well, I know our time is kind of running out here. I left you with the checklist, and I think with all of your knowledge of this subject, that one-page checklist is about the financial, the other one is about the goals. As you're thinking about what you want the marina to be in the future and how you want to get there, please go through that relatively short checklist, because I think the realities of what it's going to cost to, you know, get rid of us and try to do something for other constituents who are looking for more boat slips. You know, I think you will find, if you do the homework on it with us and with other consultants, like Flowing Solutions, who you've trusted in the past, you know, there's just a better way to do it than getting rid of this. So let's it help you achieve all your goals without throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, and I'm going to add, just from the information you have, you'll see how serious the effect is on the people that you're throwing out. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases. And people that haven't had to upgrade, like our boathouse, because we waited till the dust settled. $40,000 to have the things demoed. Now, maybe we can get a group discount, but, or maybe the port can assist, because they've put us in a position where we paid for a new dock and they get nothing in return. And there's 40 years left.
But by whether you help us pay for it or not, you know, you're paying money to destroy income.
Yeah, no, I'm
And
saying
destroy
there's more to this.
potentially way more income. Why would you consider doing that today? I don't get it.
The flexibility that you're espousing still exists. Even if this gets renewed and the boathouses are there. Because most of those things have disappeared as we have out. So tell me what flexibility that you need at this point.
Just let us know. You know, I really appreciate you hearing us out. Really appreciate it. But please get back to us with, like Tor has elaborated on what it's going to take to convince us. Because I mean, I hope when you go through that checklist, Tor, you find some of what you're asking for. But if there's anything that we can do to provide that, we'll do it. We want to help the board survive the struggles you're going through and make the most of this for everybody.
Thank you so much. I know we need to wrap this up so we can get our meeting going.
Thank you so much for doing that today.
I just want to end by saying I keep hearing like stuff like throw us out and get rid of us and stuff. And I just hope you know that every member of the board appreciates who you are and appreciates you as a constituent, and any decision we make is purely based on what we think is best as a constituency as a whole. And that any hardship, any unintended consequences that happen, you know, we hope we can make right in any way we can, and that we're not throwing out people that we don't like. We're looking at which direction the marina should go as a whole. So I just want to say that, and that I really appreciate your time and effort and your passion for your little community out there.
The whole
you.
marina.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so do you guys need 5 minutes?
Adjourn and then 5 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn the session.
Patty, are we going to use the same link or is it a different link?
contract is, in the consent calendar.
Yeah. I didn't want to say hi before we hired. Okay, wait. Item, right?
It's item B is Bravo.
Why don't we add it after public comments? Do you want to do that? We could proceed, introduction to Tommy Brooks. You see,
Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah, we are, we're like,
Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. 5:22, and it looks like we have, public comment.
in just a sec,
Are we gonna,
First, there's modifications to the agenda.
we do have modifications.
Yes, two items. One, we do have Tommy Brooks from Cable Houston here. And so let's add him to 2C and the commission. I know Heather, you
Okay.
met him.
Yes,
And let's add to 2C so we can introduce Tommy. And then also, there was a letter that was handed out this afternoon, or just, so just make that known for the record, and that's from the Hood River Outrigger Canoe Club. For
okay,
the record.
Part of public comment.
Yes.
Thank you.
public comment, okay. And then also, do we wanna have any formal discussion about the meeting we just had?
If the board would like, you could certainly add something for 5. If you wanted to add that, it's your prerogative, 5B. Your call.
I'd like to have a short discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Tommy? Are you there? Can we introduce Tommy Brooks at Cable Houston? Houston.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, Tommy Brooks from Cable Houston. I don't know if Kevin wants to do any kind of introduction or just turn it over to me to say hello.
Maybe a little bit of background. So as you know, we had Barry Ellsner and Hammond was our attorney. Ashley Dougal, who had met with you on occasion. They are no longer representing special districts. We were their only special district. They're primarily city county. And so we did go and look at the finalists from the last tournament when Commissioner Chapman was president. And so Port of Cascade Locks uses Cable Houston as well. So we did have a meeting, Heather and I, with Tommy, and went very well. And so we do have his contract on the consent agenda, and that would start January 1. But this is an opportunity, Tommy, for you to say a couple words and just meet the commission.
Sure. Happy to do it. As Kevin said, my name is Tommy Brooks. I'm a partner at Cable Houston. We specialize in special districts work. And as Kevin mentioned, we have other port clients. I've been doing special districts work since I got to the firm in 2007. So it's kind of what we do. We work closely with Special Districts Association and SCIS as well. So it's just kind of something we hold ourselves out as being experts in, and something we truly enjoy. And we're based in Portland, but we have clients all over the state. We work in all different environments and different size entities, and we've got a full team. So I'm usually kind of front and center, working with boards and general managers, but we've got folks behind me that do contracts and purchasing. We have a full litigation team. We have tax specialists for when you have tax questions about your tenants, and kind of what might be motivating them. So we do a little bit of everything, and happy to have the opportunity to see how we can help you guys.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Brooks?
Are you very familiar with the intersection of and requirements of state vis-a-vis federal law and their application to special districts?
So we do encounter that mostly when it comes to federal funding, right? So we've kind of we've been exposed to a lot of it in different ways. So
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Tommy.
joining us.
Well,
Right.
Catherine has a.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Thomas?
Tommy, yes, thank you, for the chair. I was just wondering if you foresee any conflict of interest, issues arising which be due to your representing the Port of Cascade Locks. Over.
Yeah. So potentially, that can always happen. The way we've drafted that in our agreement is to acknowledge that we have that representation. And we, based on my discussions with folks at this port and folks at Cascade Locks, I don't foresee any conflicts on the horizon. If they do rise, we of course will address that consistent with our ethical obligations, and try to figure that out. So we will avoid any actual conflicts at all cost.
And just if I could hop in, the main area could potentially would be the Breeze by software services that we provide for the Cascade Locks. If that were to happen, Schwabe Williamson, we have a good relationship with Bill Woolley, very, very spendy. We appreciate Tommy and Cable Houston and their public service clients, but that would be one way to deal with that issue if it were to come up. Thank you, Tommy.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
Now we can move on to public comment. Looks like we have Doug Archibald.
I'm gonna cede my spot to Scott Walsh, who's the Hood River Yacht Club.
Oh, okay, Scott Walsh.
Hi, everyone.
We have 5 minutes, and if you don't mind just stating your name.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. My name is Scott Walsh. My residence is in the Dalles, Oregon, and I've been a long-term slip holder here in Hood River. And I'm here to represent the Hood River Yacht Club. We just want to make sure that we keep an open communication channel with the Port of Hood River. And our main motivation is community accessibility to the water through our sport of sailing and yachting. We work closely with Gorge Junior Sailing as well as some other entities. Gorge Junior Sailing is an amazing program, as we all know, that relies on port property to get the community on the water and teach our youth how to sail. Not just youth, but they're expanding into adult sailing as well. As a slip owner, we do not take for granted all the amazing amenities that the port provides for the community through the port. We want to make sure that that's still accessible for future generations, and we want to make sure that we're keeping it safe as well. There's talk about bringing in some larger vessels into the marina. So safety is a concern of ours, and of course, accessibility. And then as far as the long-term vision goes, the survey that was recently sent out to the community was really great and gave us a chance to voice our concerns and maybe some things that we'd like to see in the future for, again, accessibility, maybe hoists or additional ramps or anything like that, additional parking for, boats on trailers so that, you don't have to wait on that long wait list to get a slip. But again, yeah, we just want to make sure that we're available to be a voice of, the yachting community here in Hood River and all of the gorge, and be available for, any of these sort of meetings, that kind of thing.
You considered signing up to be on the foundation board?
I have not. No. I have a newborn and a 4-year-old. My time.
Come on, you have tons of time.
Yes. But, yeah, would you recommend that we look into that?
Yes.
Okay.
Or someone from your organization.
Great.
What is the foundation board? Is that?
There, it's a board that works to discuss airport and waterfront projects.
One board that.
Community led, yeah. And so we need more waterfront people.
Yeah, that sounds like definitely something that we would have somebody sign up for. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And yeah, and thank you everyone for allowing us to attend and speak.
I would just add before you go, in the future, if you guys, the organization has wish list things or things that you'd like to see, don't wait, just reach out, let us know.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
That helps plan stuff.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
Is there anything that, I'm sorry, we don't usually make this discussion, but you have 2 more minutes.
sure.
Is there anything that like you're really concerned about at this point?
I know that there has been some board members, some folks from the Gorge Junior Sailing with the idea of a stern wheeler being inside the marina, with kids out on in the marina sailing around. The maneuverability of that larger vessel, especially on some windy days, is a concern. I'm sure there's a plan for it, and I'm sure the people who will be operating that will be more than adequately trained, but accidents do happen, especially when you're chasing a bunch of little kids around in the marina with small sailboats. And that would definitely be a concern. You know, what would that emergency plan be if we had 3 capsized boats with youth in the water and that vessel needs to get in and dock, you know, so that would be a concern. And then just again, the accessibility, we don't take it for granted, the amazing space that we have over there, and we would want to use that. If anything, we'd take any advantage to get some more dry docking space, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bruce Barnes?
I'm gonna let her go first and I'll speak as well.
Oh, okay. You must be Linda Maddox. No, you're not.
No, I thought we would just speak together, so my name wasn't really on there. Is it okay if I go?
Oh, sure.
It's about the same thing.
Yeah, it's about the same thing.
If you could just state your name.
Yes, I will. My name is Deborah Taylor, and I'm a guest here in your community. I'm from Vancouver, Washington. We use the toll bridge often, which, you know, Hood River's bridge, the tolls managed by Port of Hood River via the breezeway system. I'm here to talk about how the community is feeling and how it made me feel when I crossed the bridge. I received these bills, and I received the late notice, an unpaid toll invoice, and with the late charges, $25. And I was a little bit bothered by this. And so I made a phone call, which was a difficult phone call with customer service. And after that phone call, I went online to look at what other people are saying about this. And customer service is poor, invoices arrive months late, leading to disputes and unfair charges, is really high charges for the late fees. As I went on and looked at how many reviews there's like 130 reviews on here, and it breaks them down. Billing is 61, late fees are 28 reviews, mail is 21 views, and 19 are talking about it being a scam. And I just don't think it's an appropriate way of doing business with community members, especially visitors. We come to your community, we spend our money, we bring others to the community, and then you cross a bridge, which costs $350, and now it costs me $28.50. And you can't resolve it. And he did the same thing.
But we never got.
Deborah Taylor. And so another thing is we have a vehicle that goes undetected. So that's kind of interesting in itself. So, you know,
And we want to pay our bills, we want to pay our fair share, but when you don't get a first notice and you get a second notice.
Can I address it?
Oh, yeah, go
It's, we're very aware of the problems, and we've been working very hard to fix that. We've changed the late fee. We pushed it back and minimized the late fee. And we tried to make it really obvious, like we changed the way the signage is and opened up both tolling lanes again so that it seems more obvious that you can go online to pay. And I'm so sorry you had to suffer through that. I know it's infuriating. And our staff is very minimal, and they do their best to get back to everybody and try to rectify any late fees that maybe it was your first notice. We've seen that a lot, that maybe you didn't get the original notice.
We never got the
Maybe you were
original.
gone out of town too long to even get the bill. So I really appreciate your comment, and we are working really hard to fix it. And we know about the complaints. It's infuriating to cross a bridge and they get a $28 fee.
Well, a lot of times you have a lot of people that are just driving through, passing through. They're not even in your communities, or they're people from out of state. We travel a lot, and down in California, we would immediately get our bill in the mail and be able to process it, have a system or online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours all go in the mail, and it's based on pictures of the license plates, and we're working really hard to make it better. And it's
Right.
Kind of, yeah, it's also, we're transitioning, we just transitioned out of toll takers to this system, and we're working to get rid of the bridge altogether.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna speak on. I mean, you guys need to come down and do the interstate bridge because it sounds like you're on the way to getting your bridge done. My dad's,
Done for that.
he started the interstate bridge 35 years ago. My dad,
Yeah,
and he actually worked on this bridge as well as the Washington Department of Transportation Commission.
yeah.
And we're no closer to getting a bridge built down there. But the fight is the light rail. Nobody in Washington wants the light rail in our town.
And we don't.
And so did you get anybody to actually talk to you on the phone about your late fee?
Yeah, but they said they couldn't
They couldn't.
reverse the charges.
And I was just
And I'm like, how's that possible? So that's why we're here to bring this to light and figure out how we can rectify this problem without paying a $32 bill to cross your bridge one time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There was some issues with the lag of the DMV. There's some issues with that, and these are definitely things that we are working on addressing.
What's concerning me, because I got a CDL license,
Yes,
right? And I don't want anything coming back on my
correct.
commercial
Yeah.
driver's
Or it
license.
goes to a credit
Or
report or a
collection agent.
collection agency. That makes no sense if a person doesn't even know
So-
of it.
It impacts your credit. You see what I'm saying? And credit is so important now.
I know.
So how do we rectify this? Do we just call them and tell them that we came to your meeting last night? Will we call tomorrow or how do we?
We have waivers over there.
Yes.
We'll take care of that.
Yeah, why don't we just step up here?
Okay.
Unless you have any to say.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
And I know this is a thankless job. I've sat on lots of boards and been beat up a lot, so I appreciate your time and thanks for having us as guests. But like I said, you need to come down to our part of the country and figure out how we can get a bridge built that doesn't cost $10 billion.
Yeah.
$10 toll.
Especially a bridge that is gonna be the exact same space.
That same thing.
Estimate from 3 years ago was 7.5 billion, but our estimate went from about 580 million to 1.1 billion.
Yeah.
It doubled, so
Yeah.
I don't know what the I-5 bridge is gonna cost now.
10 billion. It's gonna.
They falsified information too.
Yeah, they falsified a bunch of information. FDR did. They inflated the numbers of ridership in TriMet.
Yeah.
Oh, what I told TriMet is you can get ridership on the buses. You know how you do that? You have a night naked bus and train day because they seem to have sat down and pulled. Have a good day. Thank you so much.
Okay. Wait, was that was James?
No, I think that was all of our, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Linda, do you have public comment?
Yes. I have to look at my glasses to see you.
Yeah, no one wants to see me. It's okay. Linda Mattis, Hood River. Okay, what started out as an adventure was I got the thing for the survey. Okay, so I started the survey. I completed the survey, but it wouldn't go through. So eventually I called somebody and they said, yeah, that's, so anyway, I tried it again and I still don't think it went through. And that's about the stern wheeler. And it turns out that I have very strong feelings about the stern wheeler being at the marina base. And you know that I love it. You see me fighting for it in other ways. So I was just shocked actually, that you would even be considering this with this tightness of the area. And to sort of go on to the meeting you just had with all these people, is the need for new docks. I mean, that's the thing. You've got to, when you're in a public agency, like you're part of, that you are working for, you need to balance things. And I think that was probably the reason for the survey, but I don't think you ever got mine. But anyway, and other friends. But I think putting a stern wheeler there with all the different needs from sewer, power, electricity, et cetera, and then having it big, and the sailors were kind, to say the least, and having it just in there. But the worst thing is this. Years ago, I've been here now for 38 years. At the event site, there were boats could come in through, right through there, they could come in. And they were on the, and they would actually dock right against that wall. Do you remember that? Maybe you remember that. Okay, and what would happen is with the wind, so some boats even coming down from Alaska, they'd have some years. What happened was the wind is enough to even knock a big boat around, and the pylons get loose after a while. So then I'm thinking the boat's going to be there, and it's a big boat, 100 feet long. It's going to get buffeted, even though it's somewhat more. It's not quite as out there as the other one. But what happens is putting in new pylons costs an arm and a leg. And I mean, maybe when they're working on the bridge, they could put in new pylons. I don't know. But I mean, if you're going to have a big boat in a small area, and an area that is being used by our community, and used for people to play in the water, to sail, and yeah, it would just. But I personally said no to in the survey that I didn't see the stern wheeler there. There may be other places the stern wheeler could be, or going to Cascade Locks. I don't know. It's not my problem to solve. But I just felt like having it there is going to affect dock residents very much, and especially the growth of the slips. I mean, right now you're saying we need 100 more, or you could actually sell 100. You could have rentals for 100 more. I realize they're expensive to build as well. Okay, well then it gets worse. The story gets worse. I then had to look at the package, close to 300 pages, you all know. And I was going, oh, that. I was practically having a heart attack in my dining room. And okay, so I'm just going to quickly bring up the other topics, which I don't have good things to say about. The CAT Transit Terminal, around Lot 1. Is Lot 1 going to be a parking lot? Is that what we're planning? If we have a transit terminal, I mean, I know you're about to sign with CAT, and I could see that in the packet.
It's not a park and ride.
It's what?
It's not a park and ride.
It's not a park and ride, but they could stop there?
In some area.
Okay, and I saw the different areas, and I was one of thought the boat basin, and I could see the red rectangle in two places.
Those aren't.
Those aren't. Oh, we're going to be used. Okay, maybe is it just a place where there'll be one transit?
It'll just be a place to stop and pick people up with a little shelter or something.
With how many shelters? One?
I don't know.
It would be 3 to 4 buses.
Oh, 3 to 4 buses.
Always down there?
Oh, always down. Oh.
Well,
sorry, Linda.
That's all right. But I just want to say to you other things. The roundabout, you probably know I'm not happy with that, especially with I realize that's been signed on. $6 million for that roundabout, which I don't see solving any problems. And
You're going to fight with ODOT with that one.
I've already talked with them. I didn't fight with them, but I did talk with somebody about it. Anyway, and then the other one is the airport terminal. So I'll look at you two. And for 6,300 square foot terminal. Here you are complaining about having no money.
Okay, Linda, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off.
Okay, I know you don't listen to me, but anyways, I realize that. I understand. I've had to listen to people talk down voice, and I know that you've got to get to work. Okay, but I just was having a heart attack for all those things.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay,
feel free to email also.
What?
Feel free to email also.
I will.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, any discussion?
Wait.
One more public comment.
Oh,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, are you James Roper?
I'm James.
Oh, I thought it was today.
What up, Cal? I've been a resident here 10 years, been frequenting here since I was 16 years old, so that's 20 years ago. And what I see
is kind of a problem with the port is in the winter. Like down at the waterfront, there's nothing going on, nothing. And why are these spots vacant? Like we could have food trucks, we could have little fire pits, like little, like amazing little zones. Like, why aren't we capitalizing on that? And I'm starting a sauna business. I guess last meeting I was down in California visiting my mom. She had surgery, and I guess there were two people preaching for the sauna businesses. And I think that that's an amazing, holistic, beneficial attribute to our community. And there's 3 spots. You got Nichols, you got the Hook, which I guess that's Daryl said that's off the page. But then that beautiful area, where they have the music, the concrete and whatever, which is never used. Was that the amphitheater? You can have a sauna there. You can have whatever. Just utilize the waterfront because in the winter it's dead and it's sad. I take my 4-year-old down there and we bike around. It'd be bitching to have like little just something, And so I'm advocating. I'm really bad at speaking in front of people. Just permits for people to try to run their businesses on the waterfront in the off season, especially since you guys aren't even making any money. Like, why not collect money when, and everything like my business. I'm trying to run a sauna business, but it'll be totally off grid, no electric, nothing, fully insured, clean, tight, needy. Like, I don't know. It just saddens me to go down there in the winter and just see it just dead. So I would like for you guys to figure out a permitting system for people that would like to apply for permits to run businesses. And I think that would be a good next step forward to make the waterfront beautiful and utilized all year round. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
So we had a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
No.
Oh. Okay, informational reports. Debbie.
I don't really have anything to add. We're on track with pretty much where we expect to be with the financial report. And so it was through October 31st. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but
The only thing I'd like to say is I love seeing these packets with these very concise reports. It makes things very easy to reference and read and know where we stand. So thank you to all of the departments. Thank you for that.
thank you. And I'm always available for questions too. You don't have to just wait. This is like you were saying about email. You can ask me anytime. If you're like, back in the packet. Yeah, I have this question now. It's fine.
Yeah. Kevin, do you have a planning recap?
It's informational. If just opportunity to make sure that the commission agreed with the priorities and the goals and the projects.
That looked good to me.
Great, excellent. We'll start working on them.
Airport terminal.
Airport terminal.
That's going to be a presentation. Ooh. All right, so we are in the process of advocating for public support, getting public opinion. We've been going, by we, I mean Commissioner Beaker and myself. We're really trying to let people know about this project. And so we have done 2 now. I think we did the Airport Advisory Committee, and then also we were at the Hood River County Commission meeting last night. So I thought, well, we should probably run through the presentation with the Port Commission. So this is really a summary on the Ken Jernstedt Airfield Terminal Building Project. And next slide, please. And so just really want to run through what I'll be discussing here very quickly. Just background, purpose and need, description of the project. sustainability and resiliency issues, budget timeline request, and then we'll show a list of some of our supporters that we've received so far. Next slide. So this is our history slide. So the county established the airfield originally in the late 40s. In 1959, FAA actually started asphalting the airstrip. In 1976, the port received ownership of the airport from the county and immediately purchased some additional land to make it about the size that it is today. One thing that's interesting about the mid-70s, that's when the airport master plan first references a terminal building, a public space where the people in this area could actually interface with the airport and kind of just get to see the planes in the air and to just enjoy the area. In 2001, Ken Jernstedt, who had served as a state senator, he was named, the airport was named after him. And this is his dog, Driscoll. Apparently the longtime residents of Hood River probably remember Ken walking Driscoll through downtown Hood River. In 2018, the North Apron project was completed. That was a $6 million project with FAA Connect 6 money and a little contribution from the port. And then, of course, next year we'll be building the T hangars really as a way to generate new income and really work to make the airport sustainable. Next slide. So the airport finances. So this is kind of touching on Christie's comment on our financial reports. So in fiscal year 21, that was about the time that Debbie and I started. You know, the airport had a highly negative cash flow of about $250,000. And right after that year, the commission set the goal of all of the non-bridge areas being sustainable, and the airport is really easy, has the ability to get to the break-even point. So with the 2 new T hangars, that'll generate $60,000 annually, and there's a lot of other opportunities out there which we've discussed. And so with that, you can see operationally, we're going to be right now we're about $62,000 in the hole. So the gross income just off the T hangars will absorb that. But there's other opportunities, including the terminal building, that's part of making the airport sustainable. And when it is, it'll be likely one of the only municipally owned airfields in the Northwest that is sustainable. Next slide. So the airport demographics. So Hood River Soaring is one of the largest gliding programs in the country. And it's one of those programs like the Yacht Club and the Sail Club that really the community rallies around. And I think that they're really an unknown gem here in Hood River. And so it's really nice to announce and support them however we can. We've got about 11,000 takeoffs. You know, it's always a little off as far as the actual numbers, but there's a lot going on there. We've got 36 T hangars, 10 more next year. We've got a number of box hangars, ground leases. Most of everything up there is shovel ready, especially off the North Apron. Hood Aeros, our current fixed base operator, will be going out for an RFP in the next year for that. And then, of course, the other big community events, the fly-in at WAM, and this airfield really supports the WAM fly-in. And there's also kind of a unique grass landing strip that serves diverse flying, the diverse flying community. Next slide. So the purpose and need, right now, there's nothing there. As I mentioned, the airport master plan has identified the terminal building. It's also a critical gap in our community's emergency operation plan, because in 2024, there was a massive winter event, and we actually lost our county emergency operations center, and there really wasn't a backup. And so this facility that we're going to be talking about can really serve as that backup and be the primary location for air support. There's opportunities in this building to support leasable
Sorry,
space. for-
Kevin, quick question. Is that okay?
Yes.
When we
jump in.
say primary, secondary location for air support, what are the limitations of the runway? Are there weight limitations that we need to be concerned about for, because when we say that, are we able to actually support all the aircraft?
Probably more length. It's length.
Well, I think it's the helicopter. I mean, we've got a helicopter pad out there which right now it lands right by the fuel station. And this isn't to take away from any of the ground support that's out at the fairgrounds. So there is a pretty significant fire support out at the fairgrounds, and this isn't intended to replace that. Tor, I don't know if you've got some.
I can just say, Catherine, the length of our runway and the lack of an instrument approach do limit the size of aircraft that we can accommodate. That said, as an emergency, the emergency response value of the airport is not really hampered by the fact that perhaps certain very large or very fast aircraft cannot land here. There are still plenty of aircraft that would be the kind of aircraft that would serve us in an emergency that would be able to land, if that makes sense.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure what we're saying is can actually occur, because with us not having jet fuel and us potentially having a runway that's not rated for large emergency aircraft, I just want to make sure that the presentations we are giving are rooted in fact.
That's
which I'm sure
correct.
they are. So thank you for taking my question.
For instance, many of the rotorcraft that come in for wildfire support, they typically, even at airports that have jet fuel, they bring their own truck with jet fuel now. That's kind of standard industry practice. And we have certainly had them bring in jet fuel here too. Carry on.
All right. And then I think the other part that's worth noting is that there's a number of plans, including the airport master plan. But if you recall, just earlier this year, we had the hazard mitigation plan, and this project is included in that as well. It's also in the comprehensive economic development strategy for this region. And it also positions Hood River to be a key component in electronic aviations, which is kind of a growing industry. And again, just the self-sufficiency, there's some opportunities in this structure for leasing. Next slide. We'll get into the pretty pictures here. So this is the 6,300 square foot facility. And as you can see, there's places for people to sit. We'll show you a floor plan in just a second. But this is designed in such a way to decrease the utilities. It's supposed to be it would be a LEED standard building without the actual certificate, because the certificate itself is fairly expensive, but the things that get you the certificate are totally available to us. So this is what it would look like from the airfield. Next slide. And then this is the first floor, the entry courtyard. That's where the Ken Jernstedt statue is intended to be, is at the location of this public space. There's a community room that the gliding club could use. Other community groups could use that at the airfield. A small area for cafe, coffee, that sort of thing. This would be the pilot area. So this would be where when pilots come into the airport, they could do flight planning. That would be open while the rest of the building was locked up. It had a separate restroom facility. So this would be the public space. This is the covered patio from the prior slide. Next slide. And then this is the second floor. And as you can see, there's small office spaces on the second floor. And these would be separate from any of the public activities down below. So if there was some type of an event where there was a need for the emergency operations center, this wouldn't interfere with those activities on the main floor. Any questions on any of these amenities, Catherine? Okay, next slide. So the two issues that I wanted to touch base here, and I'll zip through these, are sustainability and resiliency. These are components that help our grant applications score well. And so on the sustainability side, it's really like I noted, a very efficient construction method, really to reduce our long-term operating costs and really be part of our green mission that we have in our goals when we build new things, that they are done in a green way. Includes PV solar, battery storage, modern HVAC insulation, light, again, decreasing the energy consumption. And so really this will help and keep the airport self-sufficient and reduce the reliance on tolls and really improving the long-term sustainability. Next slide. Resiliency. So the 2024 winter storm event, that is the genesis from this EDA grant opportunity. There was a presidential declaration. And so this funding really is focused on this winter storm. And so all the backup generators, batteries, electrical infrastructure, all become very important components for the scoring of this grant application. So if all of the surrounding area were to go down, electricity, everything, this place would still be able to operate and assist and support our law enforcement and other community members. There could be opportunities for some shelter, again, staging space for pilots, first responders, emergency personnel. And again, just strengthens the county's aviation access and keeping the lifelines open during emergency events. Next slide. So the construction budget, and we were a little taken aback when we had Some Design produce the cost estimate for this. One note on these costs, the dollar amounts are for January of 2027 construction. So that's actually not today dollars, they're future dollars. It also includes about 15% contingency. And so there is contingency built into the lines themselves versus it being pulled out as a separate line. The alternates, which is has the CREP, that 1.2 million, that's all the sustainability and resiliency items. And so that's all the things like the PVs, the solar panels, the batteries. So that's a standalone alternate, so we can kind of see what those costs are. On the revenue side, there's the EDA Public Works program. That's what the main grant application that we're putting out shortly. There's the $500,000 from the Lower Handle Mill sale that was identified last month. There's been some pretty surprising and discussion about donations being placed into this facility.
That's our current target.
Yeah, that's the target. Yeah. And then there's a couple other grant opportunities. That's the Connect program, and we could even bump that up a little bit more than $1 million, but this is a good starting point. And then the other one that is worth noting is the Department of Energy Community Renewable Energy Grant Program. And so that program would hit all of those resiliency items. And so that's just about covers those expenses. And so we've shared this. We're looking at trying to find ways to reduce the cost to this. But that's our standing budget right now. Any questions? Next slide.
Evan,
yes.
Is it 10% contingency or is it 15% contingency?
It's actually 12.5% contingency. And then there's an additional, there's some other minor contingencies based upon some of the, like the solar panels and the batteries and the generator, some of that equipment.
Okay, thank you.
About 15%.
Yeah, total. So here is the timeline. So we'll be submitting the application in January with occupancy in July of 28. So that would be for the 28 fire season if all of these things were to fall into place. The Connect Oregon process is just starting out. That's opening in the first week of January. So a lot of the work that we're doing for EDA, we'll be able to utilize it in the Connect application. There is also the CREP funding, which is available later this calendar year, early 27. So we're keeping an eye on other opportunities as well, with the hope of it being occupied in July of 28. So that, I think, one more slide. That's kind of the conclusion. We did put the list of all of the letters of support that we have received to date. We've got all of our federally and federal elected officials, our state officials. We received the Hood River County letter last night. Torth was was the main presenter, and you did a great job presenting there. But this is this is a very impressive list. We've got the Department of Aviation, Emergency Management, and some private businesses as well, in addition to WAM. So anyway, I just wanted to take this time to share with you the project and some of the things that we're up against. And Tora, you've been kind of leading the charge on this, along with Jeff Renard, who's the technical expert on this. And
More than talking last night, so I let Kevin do more of the talking tonight.
Thank you.
So, questions?
I just have one quick one.
Yeah, criticisms.
No, I don't have any criticisms because I'm very excited. But I want to just make sure the plan is not fully set in stone, but I want to make sure we had talked a lot about also there being some sort of a flex space for a larger capacity.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I was assuming that was over to the right.
I'll address that.
Thank you.
But before I address that, is there anything else that's standing out, Commissioner Thomas?
I just was concerned, $9 million for terminal building, even if it's January 27 funding, even if it's with a 10 to 15% contingency, is just a lot of money. And so I just want to make sure that we are adequately sizing the facility that we need to offer those services from, and just making sure that's in the forefront. And then also I noticed that NEPA would be approved September of 26 on that timeline. So I just want to make sure that there might not be any in permitting that would prohibit this timeline from occurring, just based on the experience I've had with the bridge. So those are my two concerns. But I am on the airport committee, and I can ask those there.
Let me let you first maybe address that.
The NEPA, yeah. So I think I noted earlier that when the North Apron was funded and built, that concluded in about 2018, there had been a pretty considerable environmental work done at that time. So right now there was a CADX for that. We'll still need to go through the assessment, but from all indications, and we've done a environmental narrative for the grant already, and it looks like it will be a CADX.
So, as Director Greenwood pointed out, we've been doing outreach. We've been really, the goal for this project is to get it right from the start. And a part of it is this emergency response, because this is linked to winter storm events. But the biggest grant is from the Economic Development Administration. So economic development is a very important part of this. And we also have made it a priority that this building has to be a net revenue generator. I mean, it's just a non-starter if it's not. That's not all the value though. I mean, as one thing I pointed out to the county commission is, in the case of an emergency or a problem, you can't really put a value or a dollar number on facilities that help save lives after the fact, many of the pilot community that we've talked to have pointed out that there are aspects of this facility that seem a little outsized for the community and the needs here. And we've really looked hard and thought about those things and taken it to heart. One thing with this facility as designed and as you've seen it is that there isn't enough money for the hangar space, which would be that kind of larger space that could be used for emergency shelter. It could be like the flex space, it could be used for different things, more flexible space. So in light of all those things, and this is something that's although it's within Director Greenwood's budget discretion to go back to some design and say, hey, let's tweak this. He and we discussed this and along with Jeff Renard, and we really wanted to get commission consensus for him to do it, even though he has the budget authority to do it. What we'd like to do right now is go back to some design and say, hey, we think that we can reduce the size of the restroom. We think that we can maybe possibly just eliminate the second floor. We can take what was the pilot's lounge and maybe convert that into rentable, leasable office space. Configure it so that the pilot lounge can be part of the public space. Basically reduce the footprint, reduce the size, reduce the cost. And hopefully get in at least one big hangar. Because that combination of perhaps having a smaller, more modest facility with a big hangar is going to give us more utility for all these different things that we're trying to do. So that's one thing I'm hoping that we can agree that we would like to see some design go back and make those modifications to more right size the facility. I will say that when we were coming up with this, it was sort of, the architect firm was, give us your dream list of all the things that is, it's like, let's go to Disneyland. Okay. And that's what happened. They designed an absolutely gorgeous building, but maybe more than we need for our community. And so because of that, do you guys think that's reasonable to spend a little bit more money up front to tweak it? How much do you think they would?
It'd probably be about 10, 15.
Yeah, $1,000.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I did see there was like a little cafe, coffee area.
Yes.
Was there, I know we talked in the past about having a restaurant space. Was there any talk about a restaurant? And also we had to, and I know we're getting ready to move the port office, but
yes,
we also discussed moving the port offices up to a terminal building.
Yep.
Could that still be a possibility?
So a couple thoughts. One, we are somewhat constrained by sewer opportunities there, which is almost assuredly going to prohibit us from doing a full service type restaurant.
Okay.
But what we're mapping out is like a cafe type space is going to be okay.
Okay.
The other really neat thing about that is in the case of not finding a tenant, it's flexible space too. It could be an office that we can rent out. So the combination of having rentable offices combined with a rentable hangar will make this a net positive to the airport. As well, having this building is a stimulus to other investment on the North Ring, which that private investment that we want to see. As far as having it be a potential port office, that would probably entail tweaking the design a little bit, but in a different direction to make that upstairs. I don't know. What do you?
Well, I think right now we do have an offer, and I would say that buying a building that's already in existence is going to be a lot cheaper, because if we have to, the other part of the cost driver here is prevailing wage. So that's an extra 20% on the construction side.
Yeah.
So I do think that the path that we're on for the building out on Wasco is probably the most cost effective approach to go at this point, because it's already been built.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, one last question.
Yeah. No.
And have you discussed with the community college them having a space for aviation type classes?
We have not talked to the community college. What an excellent suggestion. That's probably next on the list. And that's something that those class that space could be used for quite easily. So there are two things. One, we'd like to go back and tweak the design. We'd like to see, can we get the cost down? Can we get the building to more accurately fit the need? I will say that we had a very good response from our county commission. I'm so grateful for their support and some enthusiasm. Commissioner Moretti even pointed out, when we talked about, downsizing this facility, she said, wait, if it's doing what you need it to do, maybe don't downsize it. But I think it's a good thing to do to diminish the scope of this, to try to open up room in the budget for the hangar space. Really important. I also want to point out that I think we're going to go to Oregon for 2 million, not 1. And we've got some feedback that that's a reasonable. Let's see, looking here also back at this budget. Having the public space and having that public interface, very valuable, but also coming back to the dollars and cents of this. We want to make sure that this has not like an 80-year payoff. And so as you're looking at the revenue side, if we go ahead and go for 2 million in the Connect, and you were saying, for instance, that was it Tillamook or Newport that was asking for 25 million?
Right.
Yeah, so us asking for 2 million, very reasonable from the state's perspective. That would knock down, because this other grants is really a funding gap. If we're going to be honest about it, that 1.3 million and this current number. And that's already taking out the 500,000 that we've already earmarked. So if we got all the funding and we got it, that would still leave a funding of $340,000. If all our other targets are met. But I just want to be really upfront about that. We're going to try to bring that down.
So the reconfiguration would be about the same dollar amount, but with
it might be, but with a hangar, which is going to be the utility of that and the economic value of that is going to be greater. So, and it also that utility for emergency management is better. It's really, I think, very important. Another thing I wanted to mention was this is a project that we are not committed to build. Even if the EDA says, yeah, we're going to give you $5 million, if the commission decides, we don't have to build it. Okay. But if we're able, as part of our grant application to the EDA, to say, yes, we're committed to the project, that doesn't actually put us on the line for it, right?
Sure.
I mean, can you explain how that?
Well, one of the things about EDA, federal money likes to be the last dollar in.
That's correct.
So if you go, and if this is the first grant opportunity, we don't have any other shown award letters. And so we're kind of experiencing this with the roundabout and some waterfront transportation improvements. So one of the thoughts is to go ahead and do a letter showing that the port's committed to the full 9 million.
Yeah, for our numbers right now, even though we're kind of going back and trying to squeeze.
But then reduce that actual number as these other grants come in. Otherwise, we're not going to do the project. So it's a little bit, there's a little bit of risk there because you're kind of making that commitment to the whole amount, but there's nothing committing the port to actually following through on the project if we were to get the $5 million. If anything, then that makes our Connect and our subsequent applications that much stronger.
So that's my other, I guess, as someone who's championing this project and really pushing for it, that's the other thing I would like is a commitment to that promise to the EDA, basically, so that the feds can be the last dollars in like they love to be. And again, that's us committing and saying, hey, we're charging ahead and we're going to do this. But on the other hand, if some of these funding sources fall through, we still have an out. And does that seem okay to you guys? Do you have concerns about it?
Sounds fine to me.
As long as there's off ramps that don't tie us to anything
Correct.
or beholden us to
Correct.
anything, then I'm happy.
I mean, I'll be blunt. Our community pays a lot of tax dollars. And if you look at the tax dollar revenue that comes back into our community versus what goes out, more goes out than comes in. So when we, as elected officials are strategizing and coming up with plans, and like we're trying to do this project here, we're trying to do this project here for the public benefit. I mean, we're trying to capture some of our own contributions back for the benefit of our own community. And that's what we're trying to do. And so I think this gives us the air support in terms of an emergency situation. We have even just non-emergency, sort of like regular urgent care. Lifeline is landing there all the time. And we have EMT there all the time. Boy, it would be nice for them to have a warm space in a restroom, We do have some restrooms on the south side of the runway, but there is a very significant safety concern there, which is that people land and park on the north ramp, and you don't want people running back and forth across an active runway to go to the bathroom. So that's where we are. I'm excited about the project. I feel like we are getting lots of good community input. And we're not drawing a line in the sand and defending a certain vision of this. We're taking input and we're growing the vision of this project and trying to make sure that it's just the right size and solving the right problems. So
Or I'll be the first to say thank you for all of your commitment and dedication to this. It is very welcomed and appreciated. I think you're on a great path, and I would love to, instead of taking up the commission's time, just looking at stuff, can we just email you some possible suggestions to consider for the design, and then let you keep running with that?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to
And
present.
then Tor, sorry, were you looking though for direction to approve Kevin to go back to architect and make sure that the size is correct? Were you actually looking for that, or is that already?
I think we discussed it, and like I said, that's within his budget authority, but I would just feel better as a commission direction to staff that everybody feels good about that's reasonable.
I think it's reasonable. It'd be nice to have options.
Yeah, if I could jump in, Commissioner Thomas, a motion saying that the port is committed to the full 9 million and having that in the record would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because then we can actually take the adopted minutes.
Yeah.
And have that in.
And that'll help us get our grant money from our various entities, so I would like to make a motion that the Port of Hood River is committed to, the full cost of this project as we have it today. I don't know what to call this workup, this projected
terminal project.
I mean, but the financial. I'm sorry, my words are not good.
I would just say, a motion to authorize the full commitment to the terminal project budget.
Okay. I move that the Port of River authorize a commitment to the full project budget for the terminal building. Is that good enough?
That's good.
I think that was it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
So, hey, I'm sorry. I don't know so what you're saying you're wanting us to vote on is that we support the cost of the terminal building at $9.08 million right now. That includes the contingency and the January 2027 dollars. But we all just discussed that we want it to be less money.
Yes.
So I don't know if a vote is really what I don't know so to be honest, I'm not going to vote for that because I think it's a little bit larger than we need. So I don't want that to be in the minutes so is there a way to say upon approved plans, we will support the project moving forward at the budget that it is foreseen at the appropriate scope. Is there a way to rewrite it so that it doesn't? Because yes, I understand federal money last in, but a $9 million project right now, I think, is not necessarily what is needed for the services that we just discussed. So I just wanted to be clear about what we're voting for. Sorry. Thank you.
Just one thought on that. So the initial cost estimate that we received was actually 10 million. And this was without the add-ons, including engineering. That included 3 million and change for a hangar, a pretty good sized hangar. So we decided to pull that one out. That's how we got the 7.1 million for just the terminal building. So the idea is to pull back the cost of the 7.1, reduce the size of the larger hangar. And so frankly, I think the project, and Tori, you correct me, is probably still going to be close to 9.
It might be.
With the hangar.
It might
Because
be.
the hangar's not there now.
That's correct.
And based if you want the flex space,
That's correct.
it's probably going to still
Yeah.
to get there, but we'd reduce the size of the terminal.
So
Yeah.
could we agree that we're approving the commitment to continue to move forward, knowing that we will then meet as a commission once we have further details and clarification?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is that a better way of stating that, Catherine?
I would second that, yes.
Final.
Yeah, because we're very early in the process. I mean, we still got room to fine tune things.
Yeah, just approving the continuance of moving forward.
I think that would be great.
Okay.
So
So then I can make a motion that we will approve the continuance of Kevin to move forward in this process to secure a terminal building.
And a financial commitment. It'd be nice to have the financial commitment component.
yes. Just, is it enough to say we're committed to seeing the project completed without naming a number?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best we're going to get tonight.
Okay.
But I think for our grant application, I think, yeah, Megan, you would have a.
I will offer just an example of language that you have approved in the past for another EDA grant for the roundabout.
Okay.
And I could share this with you too, but the last says, whereas it says the Port of Hood River has available local matching funds to fulfill its share of the financial obligation related to this grant application, should the grant funds be awarded and a grant contract approved. Then now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of the Port of Hood River as follows. It says the Board of Commissioners authorizes submission of the grant application to EDA, name of grant program for this purpose. So
I would like to make that.
yeah,
Very close.
There's no dollar
Yeah.
values
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah, can we make that motion for the?
Was that 2017 or something?
This was in 2021.
21, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And that was
Yes.
successful. And that was a successful
Yeah.
grant application. So
It shows commitment and then, but the final thing was final approval.
Yeah, right. It's contingent upon us getting funding, so we're not committing in a vacuum. So, okay, would you like to make that motion for this? Okay,
I would like to move to approve. I make a motion to approve the verbiage that Megan recently stated. Referencing
yes,
2021 EDA grant
for this project.
for this project.
Okay, second, great.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That was challenging.
It's okay.
You're gonna bring that.
Kevin, is it okay? We just have a couple of administrative action items. That we still have a quorum.
We still have a form. I think we've got the ordinance. So, yeah.
Thank you,
Can I
everyone.
just ask you if you have enough information with Boathouse?
Yes.
To,
My decision. Okay, thank you. And if you need to,
Okay. I just think it'd be nice to have on record, just sort of a consensus. So the boathouse people know what, kind of where we're leaning. Chrissy, it's not, based on all the information gathered tonight, in favor of changing, any decisions by the commission to not renew the leases. Catherine, do you have anything? Do you have enough information? Is it something you need to think about?
I have enough information, and I feel that the decision made in the previous commissioners, I agree with that decision based on what I have been, conversations I've engaged with personally, and then the information I have read.
Thank you. Or do you?
Yeah, I'm currently supporting the decisions commission made in 2022.
Thank you. All right, so we can move on to the director report.
Nothing new to add.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
unless you had any questions specifically in the report itself,
No, you've been busy.
you've been setting those goals.
Any commissioner committee reports?
I guess, it's no surprise that I attended the Hood River County Commission meeting last night. And I wasn't, I'll just share that I wasn't quite sure what to expect at that meeting. But I greatly appreciated the county commissioners' patience, their questions, criticisms. And by the end of our discussion, we received their unanimous support for the project. And one thing that wasn't part of this presentation that was part of theirs is we're sort of envisioning a very open IGA with the county, allowing county emergency management and our sheriff's department to use whatever resources we have in place at the airport. So we really see it as a broader benefit to the community, not just like a fiefdom of the port. Yeah, we had a great presentation there and a great time talking with them. So thanks to the county. That's all.
So we're down to action items. Open and close hearing on ordinance regulating conduct on port property. How do I read that?
You want to assist there?
So were there any questions up from the commissioners, the divisions, everybody's good? Okay, excellent.
I didn't hear you, Joe.
And were there any questions on the revisions or ready to go with it?
Yeah.
All right. So the recommendation is the motion to approve reading ordinance number 30 by title only.
Does she actually need to open a public hearing though?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Okay,
Oh,
gotcha.
sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I kind of thought so.
I didn't see that on the agenda. So.
Well, it says open and close, but you need to open one in case anybody wants to speak and then close it. Yes, once that's done.
So am I recessing the meeting and just opening up?
You're just opening it up
Open it up now.
a public hearing.
So
Anybody wants to say
Yeah.
something? You have two members.
There was something I saw that I thought was wrong. But I can't remember what it was because there was so many, 300 and almost 300 pages. It was, yeah. But there was something that I thought, I used to spend a lot of time down there. There was something about behavior, personal behavior on kites or something. I don't remember.
Was it something with fishing?
No. It was the windstorm. It was an I'm sorry, I can't remember.
If you think of it, just email us.
Okay, I need to get your
Email Daryl.
I need to get you.
Could I ask a question? I actually did see one thing in it. A blanket prohibition on overnight parking in the ramp parking lot.
Okay.
I assume that, marina parking pass holders would be excluded from that, but it's not specified.
If that's only an important.
May I?
Yes.
Yeah,
please.
marina pass holders can park over at the moorage. We call that moorage parking,
Okay.
and this is called marina boat ramp parking.
Yeah.
So we don't let people park here overnight, but if you're a tenant, you can park over there.
If, I mean, I'm imagining a scenario where someone with their trailer boat wants to come down and launch it and go spend the night out on Wells Island and come back and get their car the next day. Is that not a or just doesn't want to see that kind of use?
Leaving their truck overnight, no.
Yeah.
I work with people with their trailers. Like when people launch their boat and need to leave their trailers, they come to the port office and I give them permission and let our security know. But we don't allow for people to keep their vehicles here overnight. Anywhere on port property.
Would that be different if it was attached to a trailer and you knew it was, they petitioned?
No.
All right. Okay.
Hey, you can close the hearing.
Okay, we're close the hearing. Thank you for guiding me through that. And I'll entertain a motion. It's either you or Catherine.
I move to approve the reading of ordinance number 30 by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then just for the record, Port of Hood River ordinance number 30, an ordinance regulating conduct on port property.
Yes, I move to adopt ordinance number 30, an ordinance regulating conduct on port property.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great.
Okay, that's it. Commission call upcoming meetings. We done?
That is it.
I have one question. I know there is negotiation going on with Mr. Webster regarding Stern Wheeler. When will that come back to the commission?
So we were waiting to give you the results of the survey.
Okay.
Which Megan is a compilation now, but we wanted to go into detail on that because that was kind of part of your question, and I understood that. Bring it to the January meeting.
Okay.
The results of that, and then where we're at so far. We've had a response from Scott, and so we'll include, that was in this packet that you made.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at a stall right now until you have time to discuss the results of the survey and if you want us to move forward.
Okay, great. I look forward to seeing the survey results. Okay. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah.